Team Liquid is under a lot of pressure with the fan expectations that they are now the best team in the North American LCS.
Wow, should be able to get one more hit. High gets out alive by the skin of his teeth. That's the damage coming in. Double kill for Sneaky.
Dominating performance over the #1 Team Liquid.
With Liquid starting off really well in the first week, they looked a little shaky. It seems like they still have some things to iron out.
TSM had a very TSM-like game yesterday. And guess what? They won.
One hit from Dead Wild Turtle, sure to clean this fight up.
Team Solo Mid came into the split just like everybody thought they would.
That's a team that very rarely loses to a team like Liquid. I think it's the Edge TSM.
Welcome everyone to Week 2, Day 2 of the 2015 North American League Championship Series Spring Split. The crowds are going wild here in Los Angeles, excited for some games today on Sunday. And of course, earlier, CLG walking into the studio. They've got a big game today against Cloud9. Both of those teams had fantastic games yesterday, and they have a chance to leave the week, CLG that is, sharing first place. So I'm excited to see what they bring today. Now, why settle for one big game when we've got 5 explosive matches lined up for you to enjoy? Hello, I'm James Dash Patterson. On the analyst desk today are Joshua Jet Leesman and Aiden's Irene Moon. How you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Yeah, this
Really
is going to be another big day of LCS. It's almost like a super day of LCS, but in all honesty, it's the day of the Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to LCS and then maybe
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition going on today. Now, yesterday, we had a lot of new faces in the NALCS. Piglet, Impact, Avalon. So let's give these guys a report card. Jat, how did they do?
not well. I would give them a D. And some school systems don't even give Ds, like where I'm from in Canada, C- for that one. But honestly, it is only one game, so it was a rough start for some of these guys. Some of them were camped, but Piglet didn't bring masteries. That's a fail in a lot of ways. Avalon didn't really look like he had any sense of what to do in lane swaps. And in general, the Korean players just didn't perform yesterday.
Yeah, it was really the North American LCS high school, and we were picking on all the new kids there, just showing them what's up here in NA. And every team came with the strategy of camp the new guy, put them off of their, like, they're very uncomfortable in this new team, just make them even more uncomfortable being behind in the game. So they really couldn't do anything.
Well, they have a lot of time to develop as new players. There was one other huge figure yesterday, and that, of course, was the champion Callista. On top of being flashy to watch, she was, killing champs, taking names.
Yeah, and Sneaky's Callista is the one that stood out to me personally out of all of them. He has a deeper understanding of the character, the champion, more so than anybody else. He understands that the passive, when you go backwards, you go further backwards. But when you shoot a Q, you go further forwards when you're using that. That is not in the tooltip. And also the E, when you're using the rend, when you're stacking it up on somebody, it has about 1,000 range where you can detect and actually activate your E. If somebody flashes out of that 1,000 range or goes further than it, you can then turn to a minion, throw a spear at them, you then get the activation availability on your E, and then you hit your E and you hit the person who had flashed away because it extends the range to about 1,200 in terms of detonation versus detection.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of yet to be seen how the ripple effect of that Callista play evens out for the LCS. I wonder if it's going to be something these guys just get banned out, or whether it's going to be a champion kind of like Lee Sin in the jungle, where unless your AD carry can learn that champion, you're going to have to ban it away. And I just don't think we've necessarily seen the counterplay to Callista. We saw a lot of Callista with a lot of the counters banned out against it. I wonder if we're going to see some of that today.
Well, definitely a very nuanced champion, so a lot to learn about her still.
Everything was picked up by Cloud9, too. When they picked the Callista, they're like, let's take all the single target lockdown, Aurelia point and click, Lissandra, Annie, Vi. They took pretty much everything that you would use against it. And then I asked them about it, and they're like, oh, I guess we're just kind of lucky.
Well, hopefully we see things develop with that champion today. I do want to pull up the standings and take a look because the NALCS is divided right down the middle. Of course, in the top half, we have newcomers Team 8 and Gravity, as well as our defending champions TSM. Each of them have 2 wins. And in the bottom half, teams like Cloud9, Dignitas, and Coast. Those teams are holding 1 win and 2 losses. The field may start to shake out, though, after our 5 games today, with Counterlogic Gaming up first against Cloud9. After that, Dignitas will take on Winter Fox, followed by TSM squaring off against Team Liquid. Then we'll conclude our day with Coast versus Gravity. And of course, if it's hashtag big plays you're after, then we've got you covered. Here are a few of the granddaddy moments from yesterday's action. Coming in at number 3 from Teammates' great win over Coast, at DDRocks13 says, "The binding heard around the world. Dodo is your number 3.
Looking to take out Jez's before the fight starts, just like happened mid. Oh, matchmaking with the binding!
What a play from Dodo! That could be it! What a bind coming from Dodo! Now the Nexus turret falls, the Nexus is going down, and Team 8 is gonna take the game over Coast!
That is what ended the game. Even though it's the most silly thing of a little binding going through, Mash is in the wrong spot, and the team didn't have the items to get him out of it. No QSS, no Mikhails at that moment in time. Made it a big play.
Who says dodos are extinct?
I'm going to let that be. Next up, the play that reminds us even the pros have their mortal moments. And we went with this mostly because of the awesome tweet. At Dr. Kepper says, "What the hell? I just got killed by a random Ezreal in my game that came from another game." Let's take a look.
Just to get this inhibitor down, Hanser may be 1,000 to himself now. He's being greedy.
Oh! Oops! If you run an artillery-style team comp, you cannot shoot your Arcade Barrage backwards.
So what ended up happening there is he had moused over to the left and hit the champion portrait of his teammate Shifter in the Xerath, so it automatically just aimed him in that direction. But I think he was actually aiming for Kobe's sanity, and he hit.
Yeah,
Took that thing right out.
Do that.
And definitely a slight misplay there, but in all honesty, the heat of the moment, can't blame him too much for it. At least his mouse went in the right direction.
It's a big misplay.
The ability went in the other.
It's a feature that's existed forever, and you don't see people miss Ezreal loss like that, so he clicked in the wrong place. That's just
day I learned.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, Afro and Doublelift going ballistic. At Wince22 Whelp says, "LCS big plays can retire for the weekend. Rush Hour pulling off the Flash Blitz Pull Fates Call combo to perfection. Rip Zhao Wei Zhao." And at eHammond22 said, "If that Ballista Pull doesn't make the top 5 LCS big plays, I'll eat my mouse pad." Looking at you, PTL. Let's roll the Ballista.
The mid under fire, CLG relentless this game. And Tip missing. Oh, the flash hook! They got him! Zhao Wei Zhao goes down. That was beautiful.
The Ballista play pulled off perfectly right there. They saw the opportunity. Double and Afro make a highlight play.
It's actually a very interesting use of game mechanics there, and it's completely intended, by the way.
Yeah, it was super cool. And the one thing that wasn't even noticed by me when I watched that play the first time is when Blitz finishes the pull, he's guaranteed the knockup from the Callista ultimate, which is why even after the flash away, Zhao Wei Zhao was still basically stuck in place, so he could go and then hit him again with.
Right, I was gonna say you follow that up with another power fist, and it's just you're hating your life.
You're gone.
You're hating your life, especially as a Xerath of all champions. Well,
You want to stay far away.
Yeah, no doubt we are in for more of those memorable moments today, so call them out on Twitter with the hashtag LCS Big Plays. With those Ballista moves still dancing in our heads, though, we wanted to see what 2 champions do you think synergize the best, and what name would you give them? Send us your LeBroms, your Narvins, or your Curse of the Sad Bullet Times. Tweet at LOL Esports and use the hashtag LCS. There were a number of champions released in the offseason, and among them, though, Azir specifically for the players that master his mechanics. He could be a game changer.
Azir is a champion that if I think you can play him perfectly, then he's just completely beyond broken. But the problem is that no one can play him perfectly, and I don't think anyone will ever be able to play him perfectly.
With a word, I end you.
Azir is just a champion that scales really well and does consistent damage with his soldiers in team fights.
You can poke someone down to like half HP without them even having vision of you, really. His Q range is really long, and if you land the Q, then you're going to land 2 or 3 autos late game, and that's enough to take someone very, very low.
这个英雄相对来说还是比较容易发育，因为他可以用他那个 W 技能来帮助他补刀，他可以站在非常安全的地方，然后就可以补到小兵。
Nothing is beyond my reach.
The passive, as in building the tower, I think it's best used if you're trying to set up wave control in one lane. You can just set up the tower, you'll slowly get the wave control and get your wave pushing, and you can make another play on the other side of the map. If they go for the Azir turret, you have the rotation on the other lane, so it can really be a distraction and a zoning tool.
Never cross an emperor.
His ultimate is also a game changer. I feel like there's going to be a highlight play soon of someone playing Azir in competitive where he just like jumps to one of his soldiers, flashes, and then knocks the entire team back like some sort of insect play with his ult.
Grab number 2 misses, and Phoenix! Oh, Phoenix right in the middle of the fight with shifting sands.
Once you reach the later stages in the game, if you have a comp where he can really peel for a strong AD carry, for example, using his ult, he can just be really, really powerful. It's like having a second AD carry doing constant damage. If you don't kill him and you don't kill the AD, you're definitely gonna lose a team fight.
我觉得打这个英雄的话，你对线肯定会有点难，然后你会尽量选一些途径型刺客类，然后让打野帮助你，然后一起去gank他。
He just dies to ganks really easily. His HP is like wet paper. You usually aren't picking up any defensive items until after your Grail and Morale Anomicon, your Stinger, and your Death Cap. And then by then you need Void Staff, so you aren't really looking at anything defensive until your very last item, so it's very easy to just get picked out.
Oh, that banks some gold. Going over to Pole Belter.
Azir is a really high risk, high reward sort of champion in that if you mess up your ultimate by even a tiny bit, or if you E incorrectly, then you're just gonna die immediately. But if you can position your ult properly, that can just single-handedly win a team fight. He's just a very difficult champion to play, but he can be really rewarding.
And we've already seen a few impressive Azirs so far this split. What's your impression of the champion so far?
I think it's really damn strong. I think that this champion has a high margin for like skill cap and also has a high margin of error too. You can mess up, and also there's a lot of counterplay to it, but the ranges on it are a little far right now, and I know that Daniel Klein's looking at it for 5.3.
Yeah, I remember actually in the office we have a quote board, and on it it says dash, Azir will never see competitive play. I think it was dated in like December or something.
Yes, I said that when the champion was released and was bug-ridden beyond belief. And
we'll
actually,
never see
it was taken out of context.
It's not a context
we don't need
board.
to have this. Yeah, it's not a context board. It's a quote board. So somebody took a very, very small part of the statement. I mean, whatever. We're not going to have this argument right now.
Yeah. I think he's going to see a lot of competitive.
I agree.
Personally.
He is a very high skill cap champion who played well with the 4 buffs he's seen since then. Anyway, now we're going to send it over to the caster desk for the call of Game 1.